We will be starting. We are waiting for participants and faculty to join in.
Okay.
Just check our judges have joined or not.
I am here.
Okay, sir. Kiran sir is here.
Yes.
Deeksha ma'am. Pyal Basu sir. Mrityunjay will wait for some more time.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Yeah.
Dr. Rashmi, can you confirm one thing?
Yes, sir.
There was one presentation that didn't happen, right? Migrant workers, emotional geographical landscape.
Yes, sir. Yes,
The
sir.
last question. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Deeksha ma'am. Pyal Basu sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir. You're there. Okay. Mrityunjay, I can't see Deeksha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, आया नहीं शायद वो अभी तक.
Okay, okay. In that case, we'll wait for ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess Diksha ma'am has joined.
यार बहुत अच्छा लिखे थे, बहुत सबसे अच्छा मेरा था।
Yes, I'm here.
Diksha ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So, with the permission of jury, can we start the session?
Sure, sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Mrityunjay, please carry forward.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I will request to all the participants to turn their mic off so we can start our program. Once again, I welcome everyone to the fifth session of NGYC 2022. I welcome our honorable jury for the conference, Professor P.L. Basu Roy, and also the respected faculty as well as the mentors who are present in the session. To begin with the event, I would like to invite Dr. Ganesh Yadav to welcome everyone to the event. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mrityunjay. Respected jury, Dr. Diksha Vajpayee Tiwari ma'am, Professor P.L. Basu Roy sir, Dr. Kiran Bharanwar sir, teachers, mentors, participants from various colleges and dear students. A very good afternoon to one and all. On the behalf of Department of Geography and Geography Association, Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, I welcome you all in the technical session 5 of National Geographers Youth Conclave 2022 on the theme Domains of Emotional Geography, Environment, Culture, and Society. In the next 2 hours, we will have some wonderful papers by young budding scholars from various institutions as we have seen till now. So I welcome you all again. With the kind permission of honorable jury, we can start the session. Over to you, Mrityunjay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we begin with the presentation of this session, let me lay out the rules and regulation for the presentation. Students have 8 minutes for presentation. Students are to present their finding using a PowerPoint presentation. The time limit for the presentation is 8 minutes. Mentors are not permitted to give a presentation or reply to interjection. All the team members must be present in the event. Team are to judged on the basis of originality of work, methodology, contribution to subject matter, and presentation skills. Team must strictly adhere to give the time limit of the presentation. The first reminder will be given on the chat box at 6 minutes, so the team can comfortably conclude their presentation in next 2 minutes. At 8 minutes, the final reminder shall be given, such that participant must conclude their presentation at the earliest. Having listed the rules and regulation, now we begin with the presentation. The first presentation is by team number 33, and the team members are Chandan Kumar, Rishi Ranjan, Vidyarthi, Muhammad Alfaz Khan, and Ayush Kumar Prajapat. And their topic is Emotional Geography and Environment. Over to you, team.
Good afternoon to all. I'm Ayush Kumar Prajapati, and on the behalf of our team, I will speak on emotional geography and environment. Alfaz, please share the screen.
Just a second, I'm sharing. I'm unable to share. Actually, it's showing the file is not supported here. Let me
So
check.
you can share your PPT to our technical team. They will share the screen.
Okay, I'm sending.
Or any other member of your team can share if he or she has the PPT.
Okay. I sent it to technical team.
Yeah, I received it. I'm just sharing my screen in a minute.
Once again, good afternoon to all. Concept. Environment and emotional geography are the important sub-branches of human geography and are closely associated with each other. The environment is the creation of our emotions. It becomes essential to endure authentic and positive emotions for an environment to make the existence of the comfortable life. Artificial lighting during the night disturb the photosynthesis process in plants and trees. It directly affects the environment. It also led to the mental instability in the human beings. Most of the people do not notice this, but it is excessively harmful for the people's health and also for the environment. This research will assess the extent of the artificial lighting and human emotion related to it and its effect on the environment. Aims and objectives. To prove the artificial light as a pollution, to prove emotion is the one of the major reasons behind excessive light pollution which change change geography of the world. Emotions are many a times a reason behind the migration pattern. Emotions are the one of the major turning points for any regional and cultural development. Our emotions plays a vital role for economic will. A good society might change with positivity of emotions, while a bad society may lead to negative mentality. In this project, we have been taken the study area of three places: Malvi Nagar, New Delhi; Abul Fazal Enclave, Okhla, New Delhi; Jahapana Forest, New Delhi. And the methods. First method, questionnaire. Second, structured and semi-structured questions. Third, field survey and observations. Fourth, interview. The observation and findings. Most of the people think that our mind works fluently with the happiness in green environment. Most of the people support direct relation among the environment and emotions. They also constituted that we are connected to our society due to our culture and emotion we bound among our relative. And the findings. 87% of the people think environment affects our emotions. Only 5% of the people think that environment doesn't affect our emotions, while the rest 8% disagreed to the majority. 65% of the population said our our is quietly related to our emotional condition. They encourage more income, more the happier emotions, which motivates to us to work with honesty. 23% went with no relation among the economy and the money. 12% people argued that the greed of much more leads to the degradation of the environment. 70%, 71% of the people argued it is culturally inappropriate to work at night shift. They feel good in day rather than night. Most of the people feel them stressed during night, where one is trying to make day through artificial life. And the major problems which came in this research. First, not all people were cooperative. Second, different people has different views about it depend on their knowledge. Not all people speak true data. Hence, data was fluctuating. Fourth, COVID-19 was created the problem of social distancing. Not all people were willing to come close to us. Fifth, the data results were differing from the different place. Not all people were introduced with emotional geography. Hence, general topics were accurate while unknown seems result appropriate. And conclusion. At last, I would like to conclude my words. Our emotions and environment are totally interlinked. They are collectively makes our life smoothly and kinds of continuity developed environment and integrated part of human life. And on the economy, our our environment plays a vital role on the economy. For example, uh, in many places, the people do the economic business as per related to their environment. In some places, such as in Madhya Pradesh, the people doesn't sell the skin of the animals because they regard it as a very harmful effect to their environment. And that's it.
Thank you, team. I request our honorable jury for interjection. Over to you, judges.
Professor Vasu, you have a question? Dr. Kiran?
Yes, just a suggestion to the presenters that when you do when you take a topic for research, you need to see that your objectives are limited and you should have a focus area, because I see your objectives being like there are n number of objectives and they're all running in different directions. And so that is something that you should be keeping in mind. So yeah, I only had a suggestion for this presentation.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
take care.
What was the timeline of this survey conducted? When was this conducted?
Ma'am, this whole survey was conducted from November to 26th of the November to 5 of the January.
Okay, and do you think that climate has any role to play in the kind of study that you have undertaken about artificial light and availability of light, etc., etc., etc.?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you had any question pertaining to that? Because this availability of light is a very it has a very climatic implications as well. So do you
Ma'am,
think that the conducted may have influenced the answers, or there was no such influence on it?
ma'am, we majorly conduct our surveys during the night only, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, moving on, the team presenting next is team number 34, and the team members are Aman, Manoj, Praveen, and Sakshi. And their topic is impact analysis of COVID-19 on college students. Over to you, team.
Thank you. Give me 1 minute. I hope I'm audible or my PPT is visible.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. A very warm good afternoon to everyone present here. My name is Aman, along with my 3 teammates, Sakshi Malhotra, Praveen Kumar, and Manoj Kumar, worked on this presentation or research whose topic is impact analysis of COVID on college students. Moving towards concept, let's talk about the little history of coronavirus. The first ever case of coronavirus was identified in 1965 and the symptoms were common cold. The COVID-19 variant SARS-CoV-2 was discovered in December 2019 and the first case of COVID-19 were identified in Wuhan, China. Till now, around 5.7 million people lost their lives due to this virus and the number is still counting. Our study particularly focused on the college student. We tried to capture the way students have been carrying stress, anxiety, behavioral problem, and problem related to academics, financial instability, and the other aspects. The reason for doing this research on this particular topic, as I am a college student, I personally witnessed the impact of COVID-19. Some of my friend whom I know got into depression during this pandemic. Even one of my close friend used to got suicidal thoughts. I would also like to add that we are the final year student of BEST 2019 and going to passing out without knowing the college life. We don't have any memories to share uh, about my college life. Even we don't know what is good college life called. So that's why we choose these topics to study more about this. Now further moving towards research problem. As we all know that mental health is an increasing concern in college students, and this pandemic has brought this vulnerable population into renewed focus. The purpose of this study is to assess the overall emotional health of college students. Aims and objective. The aim of this study is to conduct an assessment on impact of COVID-19 on students' problem related to household, to know the impact on their education, to know impact on mental, physical, behavioral health, and to know some positive experience if they felt some positive experience during COVID or impact on their social life. The study area, as such, there is no any specific study area due to its nature. The respondents are from different colleges across the India. Now moving further towards methodology, we are mostly rely on primary data source. We conduct Google form survey and telephonic survey. Because of the lockdown, we didn't go with the ground survey. The data were collected from 139 respondents from different colleges of in entire country India. The questionnaire were comprised of 21 questions related to RAM. The questionnaire were analyzed both quantitative and qualitative methods, and the findings were finally represented through the charts and bar diagram. Now I would like to call Sakshi to continue this presentation. Over to you, Sakshi.
Thank you, Aman. Now I proceed with the observation and the major finding. So we observed both negative and the positive impact of COVID on the college going students. So under the 21 question, we observed the two impact, negative impact and the positive impact. So first we move on to the negative impacts. First impact on the household. So as Aman, please change to the next slide. So, as we all are aware of the fact that many people lost their job during this pandemic time, as we see from the bar diagram, 77% of the respondents stated that economic conditions are suffered during this pandemic time. As we see from the pie diagram, 31.7% of the respondents were unable to pay their bill due to the poor economic condition, and most of the people were suffered from food shortage because of their parents lost their job. Now, second problem was problem. Now, second was the impact on education. Under this problem facing during online classes, a majority of participants showed concern about their academic performance, which was being impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. 82% of the respondents indicated that they prefer physical learning over the virtual classes as they lack physical touch during the online classes. And the second was 38.8% of the respondent indicated difficulty in understanding the course content. 10.1 suffered from the lack of devices to take the online classes, and 21.6% of the respondent indicated lack of interaction between the teachers and the student during online classes. Now move on to the next slide. Second problem is the difficulty with concentration. 33.8% of the respondents stated that they were unable to stay focused during the online classes. Due to lack of interaction, they feel difficulty in understanding the course content, as I discussed before. Now we move on to the next slide, that is the impact on health, mental, behavioral, and physical health. Aman, please change the slide.
I
So
already
first is the mental health. Out of 139 respondents, total 79.2% suffer from the high to low anxiety stress during this COVID-19 pandemic. Only 20.9% indicated no such issue of stress or anxiety. The anxiety lead to the many diseases like high BP or low BP, headache, rapid heart rate, chest pain, etc. Second, the behavioral health. Out of 139 respondents, 14.4% of the respondents they stated that they suffered from the lack of concentration. 12.9 suffered from too much worry. 12.9 suffered from irritation. And 36.7% of the participants stated that all the behavioral changes are faced by them during this pandemic time. And lastly, the physical health. Out of 139 respondents, 10.8% suffered from back pain, 25.9% suffered from weight gain or weight loss, 10.8 suffered from the low vision, 18.7 indicated all the above physical challenges faced by them during the COVID-19 pandemic. And lastly, as we see from the pie diagram, 39.6% of the respondents stated that their screen time has increased. Due to the increase in the screen time, they suffered from the health issues as discussed above. Now we move on to the next slide, impact on social life. As we all know that we miss hanging out with our friends. So 88.5% of the respondents state that they miss hanging out. Social gathering is an important part of our life, and we learn many good values from our friends. During this pandemic time, we can't able to go out, so we can't able to share ideas rest talk rarely. This causes loneliness and anxiety among the friends, also cause depression because they lack physical bonding during this pandemic. Lastly, we observe the positive impact. So under the positive impact, first was the positive experiences. Despite there are many negative impacts, still some positive experiences were faced by the student in many ways. 11.5% of the respondent initiated that their cost of transportation is saved. 25.9% respondent initiated that they got more time to spend with family. And 10.8 initiated that they get more time to pursue their passion during the online lectures. So in total, 43.9% of the respondents stated all above these positive experiences they feel during this pandemic time. And lastly, they got more free time. So we all are locked up during this pandemic time. Many respondents respond differently in this way. They learn cooking and made delicious food. The reading habits are also developed. 25.2% of the respondents also joined the certificate courses so that they learn new things and they can push their CV for the future jobs. Lastly, I want to conclude my PPT by saying that there are long-lasting pandemic situation brings a negative impact on our higher education. The finding of our study is to highlight the urgent need to develop the intervention and preventive strategies to address the mental health of the college students. There is a need for counseling in the all education students. There is a need of a mental health center to be there in all colleges for the counseling of the student to cope up with the stress and anxiety. There is an urgent need for the physical classes to ensure proper learning. We suggest every student should participate in the co-curricular activities, which can be organized using the Google Meet to build up the confidence and to reduce the stress. We suggest every student must plan their day and do something useful and enjoy their day as much as they can. Regular exercise and yoga will help them to reduce the relax their body and help in the physical and the mental well-being. And lastly, but not the least, we advise to choose your social media purposely and carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Now I request our honorable judges to ask their question.
I
I have
don't.
a question.
Yes, sir.
While you have prepared your questionnaire, then have you used any scale, depression scale, anxiety scale like that?
Yes, sir. We used points from 1 to 10. They rate their level of depression or how much stress they have faced during pandemic.
No, there are so many scale. So many scales have been developed by a lot of psychologists, social scientists. So have you taken any particular scale to obtain the data from the respondent?
No, sir. We don't actually take some specific scale. We just put the questionnaire, give the questionnaire, circulate the questionnaire to the respondent, and the question were to rate from 0 to 10 their depression level or stress level.
That means it has been developed by yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have no questions.
I have a question regarding this one methodology as to where did you was this an all India survey or was it focused on a particular region, city?
सर एक्चुअली हमारे पास कोई स्टडी एरिया नहीं था, तो हम लोगों ने वैसे तो जितना भी दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का एरिया हमने वो कवर किया, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ हमने ऑल ओवर पंजाब, हरियाणा एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द एरियाज हम कवर कर चुके हैं सर.
Okay, so did you find any differences between cities, smaller towns, villages, people coming, like, in the feelings of people who came from different
Sir,
areas?
सर yes, actually in the Delhi जैसे हमने देखा कि अभी तक लॉकडाउन दिल्ली में लगा, लेकिन सर in rest of the areas like in Chandigarh or in Patiala recently from September to December only colleges were open. That's why their response are quite different from the students which responded from the Delhi University.
Yeah, possibly that should have come out in your observations, right?
Yes.
And also because at least, I don't know, when did you do this study? Maybe by the end of last year. But then till then we had 2 waves already. And both waves, like, the restrictions during both the waves and the characteristic of both the waves were very different. So was there a difference between these 2 waves? Like, did people experience, was there a difference in the experiences?
Sir, actually we didn't ask about this particular as जो हमारा सर्वे था वो अभी रिसेंटली हम लोगों ने दिसंबर एंड से लेके जनवरी तक किया है, तो सर हमने अभी सिर्फ करंट सिचुएशन के अकॉर्डिंगली पूछा है, तो सर ऐसा सच हमारे पास कोई अभी डाटा नहीं है फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड वेव में डिफरेंस के अकॉर्डिंग।
सर हमारा मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव था कि वी कैन नो कि स्टूडेंट के मतलब किस फेज से गुजर रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर कितना स्ट्रेस है, वो कैसे मेंटली और फिजिकली अफेक्ट हुए हैं।
Yeah, because see, COVID started like in India since 2020, and it went up and down, right? So the stress levels would be different. That's what I'm asking. So the other one is this, in your suggestions, you say that colleges should have counseling services. But when we look into this, like, everything is concentrated around the home, right? Lockdown hota hai, so you are locked away inside your house, inside your locality. So, and colleges are largely closed. So how do you, your suggestion possibly seems to be misplaced.
Sir, so can you repeat question again?
No, I'm saying in your suggestion, you're telling us, you're making a suggestion that colleges should have facilities for counseling, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, colleges should provide the counseling session through phone or through online sources.
Through online sources, but also, do you think in your suggestion there should also be something to do within the family space where actually people are locked away, or where most of the trauma happens, especially during the epidemic like COVID? So should there be counseling sessions, say counseling facilities in the neighborhoods, in the residential areas, or something like that? It needs to go beyond the college, right?
सर एक्चुअली ऐसा होता है क्या है कि जैसे बहुत सारे बच्चे विलेज एरिया से आते हैं, तो दे आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल टू टॉक विद देयर फैमिलीज और देयर नेबर्स, तो कॉलेज शुड स्टार्ट सम इनिशिएटिव टू मेंटल हेल्थ केयर सेंटर एंड टॉक टू विद स्टूडेंट्स.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Mrityunjay, just a little intervention. Piyal Basu sir, there is a request. Please make SBSC Geography host. You are the host, sir, right now.
Yes, I'm the host.
Yes, sir. You have to make SBSC Geography host, sir.
Okay. Then
you have to go to this more option and then.
Dr. Rashmi, I think Professor Sahab can make you host and then you can make others. Okay?
Yeah,
that will be simpler
whatever,
because your
whatever
name
is
is right
convenient
there.
for you, sir. Yeah.
Ma'am, may we proceed?
Yeah, let's make host.
Okay, okay.
What to do right now?
So you have, you can make me a host or like whatever way you are convenient, sir.
No. You may be the host. No problem from my side.
Okay, I tell you, Professor Sahab, next to your name, if you click onto the participants, please click onto the participants.
Okay. Then?
Right. On your right hand side, you see the list of participants.
Yes.
So here, the next name you see Mrityunjay or Rashmi. So on their names, there's more.
Oh, okay.
There is more. Click onto the more.
Yes, Rashmi Rani Anand, and then there are so many options come.
And make her host.
Make host. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Do you want to change the host? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir. Mrityunjay, now you can carry forward. Yeah.
Thank you. Our next team is Team 35, presenting on topic Emotional Well-Being Through Dance and the Dance Over Space, and the team members are Anushka Garg, Yashika Gupta, Sadhana Verma, and Mahima. Over to you, team.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, and I'm audible clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, esteemed judges and my fellow participants. We are a team of 4 members consisting Anushka, that's myself, Yashika Gupta, Sadhana Verma, and Mahima. The title of the paper is Emotional Well-Being Through Dance Over Space.
Dance. Dance is the movement of a body in a rhythmic way that involves a specific emotion, and clues for emotion lies within the body. In our recent geographical work, significance is given to emotion at a range of spatial scales where focus is on the human body. A terrain can be mapped out by emotion but woven by many other threads like phenomenology, feminist, linguistic, paralinguistic expressions. All regions have different mentality and hence they express themselves differently. Emotions are like connective tissue that links experimental geographies of human psyche and psyche within broader social geographies of a place. The reason for us to pick up this study are special difference in importance given to the cultural activities. Like if we move from northernmost point to the southernmost point and from the westernmost point to the easternmost point, the importance given to the cultural activities changes. For example, in a state like Bihar, cultural activities have not given much importance, whereas a state like Uttar Pradesh, Kolkata, Rajasthan, people not only actively encourage their youth to participate in cultural activities, but have their own art form. Secondly, growing urban lifestyle and lack of emotional expression. Due to the increasing urban population, the life of people become competitive, stressed, and people have less time to express themselves. This kind of lifestyle has led to depression, sadness, loss of interest, or pleasure in normal, enjoyable activities.
The aim of the study is to develop an instrument that accesses the extent of subjective well-being in India. Secondly, to address the spaces wherein these physical art forms are encouraged and spaces where they are not. And finally, to analyze how emotion engagement help us to interpret and understand the relationship between people and place. The objective is to study the environment, gender, communities conducive and non-conducive, and to further understand the geographical spatial differentiation in the adoption of physical art form. Secondly, the study ought to interrelate the relationship between dance, emotional well-being, and to map this on the terrain of India. The study area includes the cities and towns spread across the various states of India. The sample cities are chosen dividing India into various strata like north and south, east and west, and on the basis of number of physical art schools located in the area. The Tropic of Cancer act as a national north-south divide that help us to have a more vivid view on emotional well-being through dance. To obtain the primary data, qualitative and quantitative method of interview were used. To obtain the qualitative information, we have used in particular the storytelling method of interview. This method particularly allows the interviewee to express themselves and talk openly without any restriction. Through this, the interviewer gets a better insight of things related to it. And for the quantitative data, we have used specifically the stratified sampling method, where we have divided the population into several subpopulations like first, people involved in dance form, second, people not involved in dance form, And thirdly, people who are not allowed to get involved in the dancing activities.
Now let us move to observation and findings. Through the pie chart, we can see that 60% participants are from urban place, 19.6% are from suburban, and 19.6% are from rural. Among the urban participants, most of them practice any kind of physical art form, while people living in rural and suburban area has either left doing or don't practice any kind of physical art form. People in rural area believe that they are deprived of resources and their environment, upbringing, and social aspect in which they have been brought up affects them a lot. They believe that rural area are much reluctant of these things due to lack of resources and exposure. While in urban area, people feel more supportive and feel privileged about practicing physical art form. A person, whether they belong to urban or rural, the environment in which they live in, whether they are male, female, or belong to any other gender, it is the society, family background, and their economic level decide their involvement in the physical art form. Now let us move to the chart where we can see the effect of practicing physical art form. People who perform physical art feel much emotionally stronger, and they believe that it helps them to become more expressive. And they accept that dance is a very good medium to bring down their stress level and uplift their mood. But non-practitioners believe that they feel very lethargic, anxious, and find it very difficult to express themselves, as mentioned in the chart.
In the current slide, we have mapped the status of emotional well-being in the landscape, in the Indian landscape. Here, we have taken in consideration as to how well people of different states, cities were able to express themselves emotionally. And it could be observed easily that the people of states where the prevailing economic activity is the primary activity, and there is a dominance of rural population over the urban population, the states are not well, the people of the states are not very powerful in expressing themselves emotionally. And this could be highly related to the adoption of dance in that specific state. For example, if we take the states of Bihar, Chhattisgarh and Jammu and Kashmir, which have a prevalence of primary economic activities and have a dominance of rural and suburban culture, are phenomenally show phenomenally a little resistance in adoption of dance, and hence the people there are not very strong in expressing themselves and lack in emotional well-being. From all these observations, it could be concluded that like when we were initially drawing our objectives for the research, we were of the thought that not only a person's interest, his willingness mattered for himself or herself to indulge in the physical art form, but his family background, the societal superstitions, family beliefs, culture, economic strength also mattered for him or her to engage in that leisure activity or in that physical art form. But we, with these observations made, it can be said that the concept of global village, or in this era of advanced technology with the ease of communication in the pandemic period, this notion of societal differentiation on the basis of gender specific physical art, or the rural domination over the person to not indulge in the physical art form, has nullified to a very extent, though it cannot be ignored totally, as all these beliefs or superstitions or whatever we say have been deep rooted in the Indian landscape. But the main barrier for a person to involve in the uh, physical art form is not the society uh, or the resource availability in the current period, but the difference in what kind of economic activity that area has. Either there is a prevalence of primary economic activity that requires a lot of time, or there is a secondary economic activity or the lifestyle that mainly influences if the person wants to engage in the dance form or express themselves. And this notion has is changing from a place to place, as seen from the graph.
At last, we would like to add some policy suggestions. Like physical art form should be made compulsory at both school and higher level of education system. And in working environments, weekly sessions of physical art form should be included so that people can be benefited. So that's all from our side. Thank you.
Thank you, team. I request our honorable jury for interjection.
No, I don't have any question. Good presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I have a simple question to ask. What, according to your understanding, is the factor that influences participation or non-participation of somebody in a physical art form?
Ma'am, if we talk about the current situation, it's the time the person can give to that physical art form, because everything being online, from our classes to kindergarten's class, everything is being online in this pandemic. So are these classes for the physical art form. And the government has also set up many resources for the internet availability. So resource availability is not a problem. All these classes have been made very economical in this pandemic period also. So the major factor that influences or that matters for a person to engage or not engage in that physical art form is the time he or she can devote for that. Because obviously no activity can go without a time devotion, a proper time devotion. So goes with the physical art form. So the major factor is the time devotion only.
Okay, second question. Since participation in an art form is also a decision, is it like various other decisions which may not appear to be related to economics? Do you think this decision to be part of a dance form or participate in a dance form or practice a dance form is an economic question, or is it not an economic question?
Ma'am, it certainly is an economic question, because like if a person does not have any economic strength, whatever his interest may be, he cannot fully or freely engage into those activities. Economic strength or the economic question always comes to the end that हमारा decision अब क्या होगा इस पे. So economic question will always be there. However, all the certainties or all the things can be are trying to be getting neglected. But economic question comes at the end. Like it's the final thing that decides if we have to engage in that or not.
Third and the final question. Don't you think a household as a collective decision-making body holds the string, the right to the strings, if I may use the phrase, for an individual's decision of participating in a dance form or an art form?
Ma'am, initially when we took up this research, this was the point that came to our mind, ki a family as the household takes the decision as a whole. But with the in this era of technology advancement, this point has somehow been eroded from the table. Like this household decision does not matter to that extent. Obviously, it does. Exceptions are always there. I cannot say that bilkul hi matter nahi karta. Exceptions are always there, but this point has eroded to a very great extent in this current era of global village and advancement.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
When you say a dance form, what are you referring here to?
Any dance form, it can be classical, folk, or when you enjoy something, you dance. So It is
So
universal.
you're just looking at dancing as an act,
Yes, a physical art form.
dance form per se.
Yeah.
And the maps you have shown, yeah, you were saying something?
Sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to add on to Yashika's point. We are taking dance as a activity that involves our emotion as well as the mudras of hands and the body movement. So it's basically a presentation of the emotions as well as body movement.
So presentation of emotions and body movement. So are they like, when you say mudras, because they come to specific art forms, right? Or are you just saying somebody dancing out of joy is also considered a part of your study?
So somebody dancing out of joy is not particularly a part of our work, because we are talking about practicing it on a regular basis on a specific time, for practicing it like a devotion, practicing the art as a devotion.
Practicing it. Okay, that means there are certain rules and regulations. It's an art form that somebody is supposed to sign up for and start dancing according to the rules and regulations.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So the other thing, the maps that you showed us, your group showed us, like, what are these maps? Have you all mapped it, or is it borrowed from somewhere?
No, sir, we all mapped it for the emotion, for this particular map where it shows the status of emotional well-being. We have taken into consideration some questions. In the questionnaire that we included, we asked the person to rate how well you are able to express yourself, how well are you able to express yourself after engaging in your physical art form. So these two questions were combined and the averaging was done to obtain in what area how the people are able to express and what are the situations. And for the second map, where we have talked about adoption of dance, here we have particularly taken in consideration the support the person gets from his or her family and the society. So it's a combination of the family support and the society or the community support they get. We, in both the cases, we have done averaging for the questions.
Okay, so what dance forms like Gujarat and Rajasthan, UP were doing? Like, I'm just so interested in, like, how have you done this? Like, what are they engaged in? What dance forms are they engaged in? What did they
Sir,
respond?
yes, sir. So majorly in Rajasthan, UP, and Gujarat, there's a mixture of dance form there, because the dance form that prevails in this area is folk dance. That is, like in Rajasthan, it's Kalbelia. So, but majorly it was Kathak in Rajasthan and UP because of the Lucknow Gharana and the Jaipur Gharana of Kathak. And in Gujarat, it was a mixture of all the dance forms. It was the interest of the people. Uh, but not the specific dance form that was prevailing in that particular region.
Okay, and you were correlating this with some primary activity as well.
Yes, sir. The involvement of the people was related to the primary activity or the dominance of the rural area or the rural population. Like if we see the states of Bihar, Chhattisgarh, and Jammu Kashmir, they have. Sorry, sir.
There's also Karnataka in green.
Yes, sir. Karnataka, Goa, so basically we see that these states they either have a dominance of rural population or the primary activities are dominating in these areas. Or like, but Karnataka is an exception. It's basically the tertiary activities, the technological hub Karnataka is. But the relation here is that these all activities take a lot of time. The primary activities or the rural people take a lot of time for an individual.
Eventually, I would counter argue that all dance forms, either as in refined or folk dance or classical dances, were a result of agrarian economies. So,
Yes, sir.
yes. I'm not having time because that's how I'm including, right? If you're saying I'm having no time, that is a characteristic more of a service industrial economy, right?
So
Where
over
your
the
routine
period,
is completely sliced into a,
yes, sir, you're totally correct that all these activities were a result of the agrarian societies. But over the time period, the definition of dance changed. For like when we start, like if I personally say, when I started practicing my art form, the only reason was to add on to a cultural activity or a co-curricular activity into my schedule. And over the period of time, it became a prayer for me. The art form I practice, it became a prayer for me. But my initial reason to engage in this activity was to add on to a co-curricular activity into my schedule. And it is for most of us now, like very few people practices start their art form as a form of practice or devotion or puja, if we say. But mainly we all engage in because we have a very busy chaotic lifestyle. We go to school, we come back, we go to tuitions, we study, we have so many exams. So to give us a break from that chaotic lifestyle, we add on to this leisure activity. But this concept of leisure activity is not that evolved in the state where there's a prevalence of rural population or the primary economic activities.
okay. So I think you need to do more thinking on it because you're going to leisure and somehow bringing the rural into it. So please relook at it. And also one last question is, in your methodology, you mentioned suburban, urban, suburban, and rural. What does suburban mean here?
So suburban is the mixture of like urban and rural. Nowadays people are shifting from the rural areas to the suburban areas. And so like we just want to know कि वहाँ पे are they getting influenced by the urban ideology,
An
or they're
example of
still
a suburban?
uh, so I think if I say about the Jaipur city, we have Bagru as the suburban area where the people.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I get it. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, moving on, our next team is Team 36, and the team members are Sakshi Gangwar, Anush Sharma, Udyan, and Pradyumn Tripathi, and their topic is Domains of Emotional Geography.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to present the screen now. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, we are going to start a presentation now. There's some technical issue. Let me try it once again.
अगला स्टेशन उद्योग भवन है.
Next station is Udyog Bhavan.
Almost all people living in Delhi have heard these iconic lines. Hearing these voices instantly takes me back to the packed yellow line metro station at the New Delhi metro station when I first arrived in Delhi. People ride solo or in groups of all sizes. Today, we are taking this metro journey with three compelling riders: emotion, geography, and people. Good afternoon. Today, our team will present an analytical exploration of emotional geography, a case study of Commuters Connect to Delhi Metro. Emotional geography is a subtopic within human geography dealing with the relationships between emotions and geographic places and their contextual environments. Delhi Metro is a proud symbol of the city that people merrily cherish, crisscrossing its way not only across the physical environment, but also ethereal elements like environment, culture, and society, interweaving each while becoming one with all. Delhi Metro not only carries a person, but also his or her social background, culture, beliefs, and other integrants of emotions that uniquely define his or her relationship with the metro, which are in turn influenced by this mode of public transport. Over to Anuj.
Research from emotional and mental component of our brain are some of the most complex mechanisms of our existence. We have a strong hunch for in-depth understanding of the emotions and their relationship with the surrounding facets of life. Therefore, the study and analysis of people traveling on the metro will give us a great opportunity to explore the multidimensional universe of emotional geography and in turn broaden our view of the world.
Aims and objectives. The research aims to conduct a systematic and objective exploration of the domains of emotional geography in order to attain a deeper understanding of the said research theme on the commuter's emotional connect with the Delhi Metro. Objectives of our research are: number first is to examine the comprehensive impacts of the Delhi Metro. Number second is to understand the emotional influence of the metro on the commuters of varied socio-economic stratas. And the third one is to unify the emotions, society, culture, and environment. Study area. Our study area encompasses the regions in and around the national capital region that have a function of metro service under the administrative umbrella of the DMRC. The network consists of 10 color-coded metro lines serving 254 stations with a total length of 348.12 kilometers. Over to you, Sakshi.
Methodology. We have used both qualitative and quantitative methods for our research. We have collected data through primary and secondary surveys. Due to COVID, since we were not able to do much ground survey, hence we also opted for online interviews, discussions, Google Form survey, telephonic conversation with the people to know about their perspective and emotion related to metro. Statistical techniques have been used to analyze the data. Over to you, Pradyum.
Now we would put forward the findings and the analysis of our research using the responses on the interviews and the questionnaires. Through the graphs and worded responses, we have taken the interviews on the following stations and gathered the following findings. As we can clearly see that most of the respondents are the student, and also we got the maximum number of responses from the commuters of NCR. The large number of responses are in the favor that Delhi Metro is the best means of transport, and about 93% responses is it is the safest means of transport and it is preferred for its convenience, comfort, and stress-free journey. Most people strongly agreed that metro has the contribution in the reduction of air pollution, and it is backed by the data as the Delhi Metro has helped to remove 1.2 lakh vehicles from the city roads daily and has cut 1.06 lakh tons of fuel consumption annually. After the positive impacts of the metro giving a sense of safety to checking air pollution, people seem genuinely proud of the system, and as the chart showed, would like to make it the preferred mode of public transport all over the world where it is viable. Over to you, Anuj.
So now we will examine some of the responses from our respondents. So majority of our respondents believe they will be affected by the absence of metro, hinting at some sort of emotional connect, and with 51% directly agreeing and 28% more partially agreeing. And also we have participants who don't agree that they are emotionally connected with metro. So we can substantiate the presence of emotions with the metro with various factors like aesthetic, clean environment, ease of travel, and safety, along with mental security, stimulate this positive bond with the metro. As majority of people were affected by the absence of metro suggests the formation of a strong bond than just that of mere need, triggered by the swath of memories that come rushing back. Another potent emotion is pride that may formulate for our city and country as a result of being a part of such a colossal operations that radiate efficiency, cleanliness, and sound planning and management.
In our research, around 82% of the people believe that Delhi Metro represents the direct reflection of multicultural India. We all might have observed while traveling in the Delhi Metro that people speak different languages and wear different attires, which represent the diversified culture of India. This is because people from almost every state lives here due to various reasons and generate various kinds of emotion with it. Around 77% of people believe that Delhi Metro mostly benefits the middle income group. We are also aware of the fact that in India, most of the people belong to the middle class group. Hence, in Delhi as well, most of the people, including students, teachers, government officials, etc., are the one who travel with the metro almost daily and thus have generated some or the other type of emotional connection with it. We also found that 84.4% people believe the Delhi Metro has become the identity symbol of the city, along with historical landmarks and religious sites, which is a huge compliment. The people who visit Delhi very often have lots of memories related with Delhi Metro. Even during our interview, we came to know that when someone visits Delhi, the most asked question includes, "Did you travel in Delhi Metro?" This clearly shows that they have a kind of emotional connect with the Delhi Metro. Over to you, Udyan.
Excerpts of interview responses portray how happening the metro stations can be, and the second response even shows that it was a spot of discussion of literature and various authors. What can be a bigger unifier of emotions and culture than a discussion of spellbinding words while in transit? This takes us to the conclusion of our presentation. Delhi Metro carries people of all backgrounds from near to the distant parts of the country. From looking at the tall buildings of Noida radiating with optimism after securing your first job in the city, or with somber sunset lights over Yamuna after facing your first rejection, Metro is the common denominator carrying emotions, culture, while traversing the widespread geographic spaces of our capital city. Many responses we received were also practical ones, that people had no connect with the metro and use it merely because of lack of choice. A response that a lot of us city dwellers can relate to. Fast-paced urban lifestyle redefines our communication and connectedness with our surroundings. It's a finding we cannot ignore nonetheless, that we have become more materialistic. We argue that the material aspects of urban life cannot be underestimated. One suggestion that we would like to put forward for ourselves as well as for everyone else is to be thankful for the little things and to employ a more holistic approach to achieve inner and outer sustainability to create more harmonized lives. Now, to end our presentation, here is a rare light-hearted Twitter trend with the people showering their love for our ever-loved Delhi Metro. We would like to thank Shaheed Bhagat Singh College for giving us this platform for presenting our research. Thank you.
Now I would request our judges for interjection. Over to you, judges.
So, did you also have a question? I'm just wondering, what if you, on any given day, the Delhi Metro is not working? So how do respondents feel about it?
We did, sir. One of our question was, what does Metro actually have a big impact on you? And we related it with the lockdown actually, that if the lockdown had a major impact on you, we received the responses. I'm trying to find that slide now. Yes, as we can see, relieved by the resumption of metro post-lockdown. So most of the people responded yes, and 27 also responded no. And there were some interesting responses. Someone even said that it is their sole mean to get educated. that it can be for various reasons. Maybe this is the only means of transport by which they can easily or financially viably travel to their education centers. And some were even scared to travel to their various destinations. But the responses, the majority of the responses definitely corroborate the fact that yes, indeed, the absence of metro does have a major impact on most of our respondents.
Okay, the other question I was interested in was, okay, you have seen the connection between the metro and its people. Did metro space, either as a train or the station, also become a space for emotional bonding, various types of emotional bondings? It could be anything, the station, the metro rail in itself, or the platforms.
Yes, sir, we can say that. During our interview, we came to know that Rajiv Chowk has become a hub for meeting, very high profile meetings as well. And we also can see that on many stations in the trains, people used to meet each other and thus have a lot of memories like spending time with their friends or having kind of important meetings. So yeah, we can say both train and the stations are important for them and they have some memories related to them.
Okay,
I
thank you.
would like,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
I would like that I even read many articles. I am not able to find them now. That people even get married. They meet at various stations. We also talked to various cafe owners at Rajiv Chowk. So he also said the same thing, that most of their customers are young couples. And there are articles that some people have met during in one of the meetings, because it has become the hub of all these business meetings. So yes, sir, it definitely is a place where a lot of people have bonded.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions to ask.
I don't have any question.
Thank you. The next team is Team 37, presenting on topic analysis of spatial variation of emotional and awareness dimension in assessing behavioral aspect of environmental conservation. And the team members are Rishiraj Thakur, Devanshu, Rohit Modi, and Abhinash Devarma. Over to you, team.
So am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So, so a very good afternoon to everyone. Here, I Rohit Modi, along with our members, Risaz Thakur, Devanshu, and Avinash, going to present our topic on analysis of spatial variations of emotions and awareness dimension in assessing the behavioral aspect towards the environmental challenges. So, begins with the table of contents. First, we will throw light upon the introductions to our concept, then statement of problem, aims and objective, literature survey, our study area, research design, database, our methodology, research and discussion, inferences, and conclusion. So talking about our concept, as well as people's interactions with their environment plays a significant role in influencing the anthropogenic activity, no doubt. But on the same way, it helps in understanding their behavioral aspects in the form of perceptions and the actions they form towards environmental issue. Apart from that, the research is primarily based on the inputs in the form of tweets that we have collected from the tutor, because in the present time, social media has become an omnipresent platform for masses to express their thoughts, opinions, and emotions on a variety of subjects. We have also done the sentimental analysis of tutor to know their behavioral aspects. Now move to the statement of problem. That primarily focused on three aspects. First, what are the people's main concerns and their level of awareness towards them? Second, what are people's sentiments and attitude toward the environmental problem? And the third one is whether these sentiments are same across all places or there exists some special variation. Now move to aims and objective. Our aim is to understand people's emotions towards the environment and environmental problem, and our objectives include to identify the major themes of concern towards the environment, to prepare the AMO environment map to record the spatial variations of the sentiment, to analyze people's emotions through their reaction towards environmental problem, and the last one is to analyze association between
between the spatial location and the type of emotions observed. Next. So this is the literature survey from where we get an idea about the insight, or we can say input, for our research work. Next. So our study area comprises the entire country of our India. Over to you, Devanshu.
Next slide, Avinash. Research overview. Here, research design overview explains various components and intricacies of our research. For instance, the source and the process of filtration of database. These are the tools and the techniques that we have used. Here, the tools and the techniques are mentioned in this flowchart that we have used to obtain the results mentioned under capturing. Next. Research design. Our database consists of secondary data collected from Twitter. Initial data was captured using NVivo. Further, this data was manually filtered and segregated. And the final data was processed using NVivo and QGIS. Database 1. Database. Our database, previous slide. Our database consists of two stages. Stage 1, data collection. Initial data was mined from Twitter using hashtags such as environment and climate change. These tweets were captured using NVivo Captured plugin. Finally, 92,114 tweets were captured. And the time period of the tweet collection is 1st December 2021 to 1st January 2022. Stage 2 of our database consists of data filtration. These 92,000 unfiltered tweets were manually filtered. Further, in the cleaning process, tweets originating outside our study area were discarded along with non-geotagged and generic geotagged tweets. Finally, precise geotagged tweets were only selected. After this stage, we were left with 2,423 highly filtered tweets for optimum results. Methodology. Our methodology comprises of classification of tweets on the basis of their sentimental connotation. The sentiment of tweets was determined on its overall connotation, but we also considered studying the root words under the tweets. Data sample. Here, the classified tweets are represented under data sample. These are tweets boasting positive sentiments. This sample represents negative tweets. Finally, these tweets represent neutral sentiments. The spatial distribution of sentiments are visualized using QGIS software in the form of heat map and choropleth map. The qualitative data was visualized using NVivo into word cloud, tree map, and cluster analysis. Here are some screenshots that we have captured during our research. Results and discussion. Next. The spatial distribution of data is represented through this heat map. Here we can observe that the tweets are concentrated mainly over the metropolises of Delhi and Mumbai. For the northern region of India registers relatively more tweets than the southern region. Eastern region of India records least amount of tweets, even negligible tweets. Here, the spatial distribution is represented through this bar graph. Next. Here we have tried to understand the relationship between the spatial distribution on par with literacy rate and urban population of each state. Next. In this paragraph, we observe that there is a positive correlation between the frequency of tweets with the literacy rate and urban population percentage of Indian states, with few exceptions like state of Kerala and Goa, which have a higher literacy rate and urban population percentage than the national average, but still register insignificant amount of tweets. Next.
Okay, so now let us quickly move on to the themes which we have identified from our research. Using NVivo, we were able to extract the top 20 most used hashtags. So the most commonly used hashtags were climate action, environment, climate change, etc. Next. Now, using NVivo's autocode theme features, these were the major themes which we were able to identify. Next. So using that feature, we were able to extract the sub-themes and major themes of our research. So for example, in climate, people were talking about climate change, etc. Now here, in the form of we have also visualized our themes in the form of a cluster analysis method. Next. Now let us move on to the sentiment analysis part of our research. In this pie chart, we can see that the majority of the tweets in our data set, that is 61% were positive, 22% are neutral, and 17% are negative. Next. To visualize the spatial variation in sentiments, we have created a proportional pie map using QGIS. Next. Now let us look at the spatial distribution of positive tweets. We have seen that the highest number of positive tweets are from Delhi, Maharashtra, Karnataka, etc. This is also due to the fact that we have received the most number of tweets from these areas only. But however, another reason for this could be that these are the areas with the most environmental problems. Now, if we look at the distribution of negative tweets, and also we find that the New Delhi, Maharashtra, Chandigarh, etc. are the areas with the highest tweets. Another reason for this could be, since the data is skewed towards Delhi, could be the time period factor. Since we were able to collected our data during the months where smoke problem is prevalent in Delhi, so that may have resulted. However, if we look at the proportion of tweets of negative tweets, then Chandigarh has the highest amount of negative tweets proportion. Next. Now, distribution of neutral tweets, 22% of our tweets were neutral. Highest numbers were observed from New Delhi, Maharashtra, and highest proportion of neutral tweets is from Himachal Pradesh, Puducherry, etc. Next. Now, using NVivo's word cloud feature, we were able to identify the sentiments within the positive tweet. Here we can see that the words which were highlighted in the center are environment, sustainable, climate. These are words that show us that the people are more action-oriented and they are highlighting the problems such as climate change, climate crisis, etc. Words such as recycling, energy, Swachh Bharat are seen. These are the measures taken. Moreover, we have visualized our data with the help of a tree map. Using the tree map, we were able to divide the positive tweets into three parts. That is the concerns, focus, and solution. In concerns, we can see that sustainable environment, climate action were the concerns, and in focus, Swachh Bharat, biodiversity were the main focus, and in the solution, measures like volunteers, awareness, plantation were seen next. Now here in the negative tweets, however, we see that the main focus is on highlighting and warning about the environmental issue. Surrounding words like humans, animals, disasters, etc. show that focus is on the problems and not much on action. Moreover, we also find words like reality, governance, management, etc. which reflect disappointment, anger, or fear among the people. Next. Now here, we have also been able to divide the negative tweets into three areas: the concern area, focus area, and problem. Here we find in the negative tweets that there is no mention of solutions, but the people were just expressing their dissatisfaction. Next. The sentiments which we have observed from the neutral tweets were that the major focus of the neutral tweets was on the promotion of events, products, which were indicated by the words such as energy, technology. Mainly these were advertisement. And moreover, educating the masses through sharing of articles, opinions were also observed, which we could see from words like awareness, research, policy, etc. Next. So now let us look at the inferences. We observed that the highest number of tweets were observed from places where factors such as literacy rate, internet connectivity, proneness to environmental problems were high. Qualitative analysis performed on the tweets indicated that the people were aware about the recent about our environmental issues and the urgent need to combat these issues. Sentiment analysis of our tweets showed that the vast majority of the tweets were positive. This indicates that the people are hopeful and optimistic about solving the environmental issue. Next. Only 17% of our tweets were negative. These tweets highlighted people's dissatisfaction, fears, and anger towards the society's actions and inactions and the failure of the government to combat the issues. A sense of powerlessness and concern is noticed in these tweets. And around 22% of our tweets were marked as neutral. These were mostly advertisement, event promotions, etc. Next. Now we have come to, at the conclusion, we can conclude that through our research, we have noticed that there is a general awareness among the people regarding the various issues, and they have understood the need to act responsibly. Greater amount of positive tweets among the people is a positive sign for India, as this type of attitude prepares individuals for hard times, helping them to develop flexibility in problem-solving aptitude. Moreover, the negative tweets are also of use because they are useful for the NGOs groups that fight for sustainable development. Since the negative public opinion demonstrates its concern with respect to specific issues, it can be also used in the policy formation by the government. That's all from our research. Thank you.
Thank you, participants. I request honorable jury for interjection.
Okay, my first question to the team would be, did you use the auto coding technique of NVivo, or did you provide the codes yourself?
We use the auto coding feature.
You use the auto coding.
Yes.
Okay. First, secondly, the inference that you have drawn about the number of tweets arising from certain localities, certain areas of the country, and the idea that it is related to the potentiality of environmental problems that these areas may be facing. How did you come to this conclusion?
Yes, ma'am. Because that is not the only factor, but it is a contributing factor. The other factors are like internet connectivity, the level of urban population. We have seen that the most number of tweets were observed. I mean, the tweets related to environment were observed from the major cities where the problems like environmental problems like pollution, smog, etc., are more prevalent. And moreover, we have noticed in the areas which have a higher forest cover or are not exactly the pollution level is low, so we have received very less number of tweets from those areas. However, we think that the temporal aspect also plays a role. We collected our data during the month of December. That's why our data is skewed towards Delhi. Maybe if we had collected the data throughout the year, we would have observed some other variation in the spatial distribution.
There is a high probability of that. Also,
yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Also, a question that has been, I mean, I'm a little perplexed by this, which is that within our country, across the countries, various countries, there is something called the digital disparity. Okay, the same kind of disparity may not exist as far as environmental problems are concerned. Those disparities are digital disparities, but the problems that you are talking about are problems which people whose access to the digital devices have no bearing on. Okay, so when you say that these are the locations from where the tweets generated, and the probable reason for that is that, and you did correlate it with urbanization, literacy rate, where did you factor in the digital divide in this?
Ma'am, actually, we did not actually go for the internet connectivity rate. But from the urban population and the average literacy rate, we believe that the areas where the literacy rate and urban population will be high would also have a higher internet connectivity.
You'll be
We did not-
surprised with the, I have a reason for saying this, and I would suggest you to kindly have a look at all the reports, which there are abundant reports that you can access about the digital divide that exists within the country, amongst nations across the world, even within the country, within the state. There are reports which will give you an insight about the role of this digital inequality and the environmental problems. And maybe you can use it as a factor that may have an impact on it. It is just a suggestion. Kindly look at this digital divide aspect as well.
Yes, ma'am, we will surely.
Thank you.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, may I answer that question?
Yes,
That
yes,
query?
yes.
Ma'am, actually, India has the largest population of smartphone users and the one of the cheapest data cost. So, due to which the internet accessibility in India is on par with the Western countries. I had read this report, but we might have mentioned it in the literary survey. So, due to which we did not take into account the digital divide, because after the launch of Geo and after the after the internet becoming the cost effective means, the digital divide reduced significantly.
My suggestion still holds. Kindly have a look at the reports, not just within the country, but outside the country. It would give you an insight about, and you are right, about the availability of internet connection, about whatever you are saying, about the number of smartphones and all those things. You are absolutely right. There is no disagreement. You are factually right as well. But when it comes to access, when it comes to disparities, when it comes to inequities related to access to internet, there are surprises. There are surprises. So kindly have a look at those studies as well.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving ahead, our next team is Team 38, and the team members are Anusha, Shreya Biswa, Riza Ahmed, Bidagda Goswami, and their topic is sleep deprivation and stress among Indians during COVID-19. Over to you, team.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anusha, and I'll be sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Hi, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's.
All right, perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anusha Bopli, and with my team members, Shreya Biswas, Riza Ahmed, and Bidagda Goswami, we'll be presenting our research here. So our topic is sleep deprivation and stress among Indians during COVID-19. So this COVID-19 pandemic had a huge impact on our mental as well as physical health. Being a second-year college student, I not only observed different observed changes in my sleep as well as stress. It had a huge impact on our mental and emotional health as well. So moving on in the concept, emotional geography is the sub-theme that deals with emotions, geographic places, and their contextual environments. The modernization of our society has invited acute stress and other discomforts. Sleep deprivation and stress are among them. Sleep deprivation is a condition characterized by insufficient sleep, sleeplessness, and a quality to maintain adequate alertness, performance, and health. This can be either chronic or acute, and the intensity can vary greatly. Though any change that creates any physical, emotional, or psychological discomfort is referred to as stress. These discomforts there seems to be a correlation between these discomforts, that is stress and sleep deprivation. And though they persist throughout our society and affect these people definitely across all age groups, and the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected the degree and the propagation of the same, and thus it inspired us to study, and thus this inspired us to conduct a study on this. Onto the research problem. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused significant turmoil all over the world. Apart from the deaths caused by the deadly virus, the impact of quarantine on people's mental health is also very prominent and noticeable. According to the article by Dr. D. Bhattacharya et al., insomnia is present in 25 to 30% of the population in general. Another study conducted shows that 1 in 7 Indians suffer from mental health issues like anxiety in 2017. With such a high prevalence of mental health disorders, this research is an attempt to analyze the relationship between the pandemic, sleep deprivation, and stress among Indians. Though the terms mentioned here are insomnia and anxiety, we could not conduct a study with this clinical disorders. So we shifted to more generalized disorders like sleep deprivation and stress. Over to the aims and objectives. Our primary aim was to study and evaluate the level of stress and sleep deprivation if caused due to the COVID-19 pandemic among Indians. Our first objective was to study the relation between sleep deprivation and stress during COVID-19. And the second one was to analyze the contribution of the COVID-19 pandemic to the levels of sleep deprivation and stress among Indians. Over to the study area, for our research, we have conducted an online survey at the local level in different parts of Indian regions to understand and learn about the sleeping habits as well as their stress levels and any disruptions caused due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Our sample size was 166 people within the age group of 18 to 25 years. Onto the methodology. So in order to learn and research more about the topic, we used both primary and secondary sources of data. Under the primary source, the question and method has been used, and for the secondary source, we opted for the literature review. The review of the literature included, but was not limited to the previously published articles, essays, and other articles, essays, papers, and other personal experiences. The primary source, that is the questionnaire, was used to study the first objective, and the second objective was studied by the secondary source, that is the literature review. On to the next slide is observation and findings. So with the literature review, we searched for the humongous database available online, and among them, these 4 studies were the most prominent and most promisable. So Krishnan et al. In 2020, Kwong et al. In 2020, Verma et al. In 2020, and Rawat et al. In 2021, they all studied this similar study either on the sleep deprivation and stress and other mental health disorders and disturbances, and they all came to just one conclusion, that the COVID-19 pandemic had increased these levels, has increased the levels of stress and has disturbed our sleep, and thus led to sleep deprivation, and all led to this conclusion, and all the more further, and they further increase the chances to get a good result of the survey. Now, I like
Moving on. Moving on, next we have the findings which we developed from our questionnaire. First, we have the relation between sleep and stress. Now, sleep and stress are both interlinked and they both affect each other in different way. Chronic stress can lead to loss of sleep, and on the other hand, unhealthy sleeping habits or insufficient amount of sleep at night can cause both physical as well as mental stress. Chronic stress can negatively impact or even disrupt the proper physiological functioning of the body and may cause digestive problems, muscle pain, and in extreme cases, even lead to insomnia. From our survey, we saw that almost 20% of the people face difficulty in sleeping or had a disturbed sleeping pattern. Similarly, lack of sleep increases the secretion of stress hormone, also known as cortisol. Next slide. Next, we have the contribution of COVID-19 pandemic to the increased levels of stress and sleep deprivation. Now, we all know that the pandemic has drastically brought about changes in our lifestyle, and everything has shifted from the offline mode to online mode, and we are stuck inside our houses with little or no physical movement. And this has tremendously affected both our physical as well as mental health. And from our survey, we saw that about 33% of our respondents have experienced an increase in stress levels, and about 64.24% of them have trouble going back to sleep once woken up in the middle of the night. And as a result of lack of sleep, about 23.38% of them are faced with loss of appetite, mood swings, and fatigue. And increased screen timing due to everything being online and the resultant blue rays that are emitted from the electronical devices has hampered the normal sleep cycle or sleeping pattern of a person. Thus, due to lack of proper sound sleep at night, most of the respondents stated that they feel tired throughout the day or even irritated or can't focus on their work. As a result, they are unable to keep track with their piling work, which makes them feel like they are lagging behind, which ultimately induces stress because they feel like they are unable to complete their work. And this increased stress then again impacts sleep, and they are unable to sleep well at night. Thus, this goes on in a cycle where both stress and sleep affect each other. Next slide. I would like to conclude by saying that the study on sleep deprivation and stress among Indians during COVID-19 reflected the fact that the pandemic has brought about abrupt changes in our lives. It is understood how stress and sleep share an interconnectedness and how they both have positive and negative impacts on our body. Now, here are some of the suggestions which may help some people in reducing their stress or improving their sleep patterns. First, of course, we have meditation, which we all know calms the mind and relieves the stress, thus aiding proper sleep. Next is to avoid caffeine and alcohol, which are proven to have a drastic impact on a sleeping pattern of the person. Third, we have increase in physical activity, be it in the form of sports or yoga or just normal walk to the park. Any physical activity helps in proper functioning of the body and thus helps us to get better sleep at night. And lastly, we have a proper daytime schedule, which will help us to keep track with our work, and thus we don't have to stress about completing work in time, and also we will have enough time for sleep and rest. With that, we come to the end of our presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to run the study.
Thank you, team. I would like to pass the mic to honorable judges for their questions.
So I have a question. How do you think, as geographers, would you look at the spatiality of this problem that arose during the pandemic? Like, okay, there are also research that has confirmed that there was sleep deprivation, which you are confirming. But as geographers, like, who study space, how do you make sense of it?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. So, what I make of this question is, how is this relevant, or how is this related to emotional geography, right?
Yes.
All right. So, as we all know, this outbreak of COVID-19 has shut us from the physical world and made us sit still at one place, which is affected our mental and emotional health. But this has bound us from the various experiences that we get from the physical world, and this prevalence of sleep deprivation and stress is not only a consequence but also an effect of the COVID-19. So I feel I think Shreya would have more to add on to it.
Yeah, like since it's if we talk about the like there has been a drastic change in the environment. Like by environment, we not only mean the nature and stuff. Environment is anything the surrounding that we are in. So there has been a drastic change in the environment. Like previously, we would go out, communicate with people, socialize, but now we are unable to do that. We are just stuck inside home. And especially if you see in urban area, due to everything being online, uh, the impact of this pandemic on our mental health and ultimately the sleeping pattern has been pretty intense. So I think that's how, since it's a global phenomena, the entire pandemic, and the results
No,
are
because when you
can
were
be seen.
sleeping in your house, that sleep deprivation was largely localized, right? It was in a micro space. So in your home, and that you were locked away in your home. So how would you as a geographer look at it?
Could you
So
please repeat the question?
just give you a hint.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a sleep deprivation, which affects my emotions next day, the way I feel, and how the way I feel affects the environment of the home, right, where I live.
Yeah.
Yes, so you need to push it forward to think spatially, right?
Yeah,
Because
we could
you're not
also think
locked
of
away all
this.
alone, right? And even if you're locked away all alone, it will still have an effect on where the location that you're there in.
Yeah, the location as well as culturally as well. How enthusiastic people are to look forward to the cultural activities, and this pandemic has put a stop to those activities, I would say.
Okay.
So that could be one of that.
Okay, think, and possibly take it forward, like if you're going to think more on it. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so
sir.
much.
I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you. Our next team is team number 39, and the team members are Nishchal Gaur, Pragya Rana, Pallavi Singh, Khush, presenting on topic attuning notions of adolescent to the new dynamic abode of university campus.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Pragya, I think you can start.
Okay. Universities and colleges are considered an important and succeeding step of attaining higher quality education. As soon as a student completes schooling, they start visualizing about their campus life. A very good afternoon to everyone. Today, we are here to present our research paper titled Attuning Notions of Adolescence to the New Dynamic Abode of University Campus.
While attending college is considered a step towards a reassuring career and a comfortable life ahead, It is actually way more complex to define the real impact and influence of college in a student's life. Campus life has way more to offer than the courses and mainstream education. When a first-year student steps into a campus, they are overwhelmed with a number of emotions: the freedom and adventure, the responsibilities, contrasting mindsets, homesickness, and much more. They arrive on campus with fresh and open minds, which can be easily reshaped and manipulated at this stage. They have several expectations, which also tend to disengage them from academics and increasing engagement with other activities.
Here we have quoted some papers to support our argument. Tim Delaney in his article argues that while students are under the impression that they have certainly more control over their life, the majority of their decisions are influenced by peers and pop culture. And he has also defined the concept of pop culture. Leslie Scanlon in the paper suggests that the swift transition from school to university campus can result in feelings of loss of continuity, as they are now out of their familiar and comfortable setup behind. The study area we have chosen is the University of Delhi. In about 100 years since it was founded, the university has grown from the strength of 750 students to India's largest university with over 80 academic departments and more than 7 lakh students.
The transition from high school to college is a very crucial period for adolescents. It not only broadens their horizons, but also helps them evolve as a person. And changing notions are a part of this evolution process. Therefore, it is important to study this process and the changes that come with it. Hence, the following objectives have been set for this study: to trace the behavioral, lifestyle, and emotional changes that occur in adolescents after entering into colleges, to study their response towards pop culture, to understand the influences that shape the ideology and emotions of the students in the dynamic relationships between emotion and geographic places and their contextual environments, that is, the university campus.
The study is based on the mixed methodology. Questionnaire surveys and interviews are conducted for the purpose of primary data collection, and on the basis of data collected by above mentioned, the results are analyzed. There are 2 techniques followed to facilitate this research. First is survey method and interview. In this method, a questionnaire was prepared and circulated amongst the targeted group through the social media. This questionnaire had a number of questions to analyze their perceptions and notions. According to response, a detailed analysis was carried out. The second method was content analysis. The critical analysis of existing literature has been done.
Now we come to the observations and findings. The first thing that we have done was content analysis. We did analysis of a vast literature to build a conceptual understanding of the topic. We read a number of research papers and articles and tried to drive out implications of the topic of our chosen study area. It further helped us to construct an inclusive yet comprehensive questionnaire for both our survey and interview. Some of the noteworthy key findings are displayed here, where the authors have discussed the emotions and behavioral changes that the students encounter during the transition from school to college.
Survey analysis. We kept our survey questions very general to get a larger and quantitative picture of the situation. As you can see, when asked about increased freedom, 64% of students said yes, and again, majority of students would like to settle in Delhi itself, as they can exercise more freedom and can explore themselves in different ways. We also asked about their transition experience, and to that, 60% of students felt that there was a sudden transition from their older life, and 48% of students said initially it was quite hard to adjust to the environment at the university. When asked about their major source of popular culture, we can clearly see that friends and peers are the major source of popular culture. Can we get back to the previous slide? Yes. When asked about the major source of the popular culture, we can clearly see that the friends and peers are the major source of popular culture, and the major aspect that were affected were fashion, food, and music. We tried to understand the emotions of students regarding the social and cultural aspects of the city, and if they were overwhelmed by it, or did it affect their ideological values, which most of the students said no.
We also conducted online interviews of randomly selected students to do a qualitative analysis, since emotions cannot be put into dimensions efficiently. We asked them a number of questions to note their thoughts, some of which are displayed here. When asked were they able to manage their studies in their first year, most of our respondents said that it was tough to adjust and adapt during the first year of college. It was a blend of mixed emotions that they were encountering. When asked about their expectations about college and their encounter with reality, a respondent answered, the beginning of college comes with immense expectations and anticipation. It's the one thing that almost every high school student look forward to. I too came with a lot of expectations like dressing up, exploring the city, etc. But reality was partially different. There was another question on the kind of emotions that they felt when they initially came to campus, to which we had very similar yet intriguing answers. Some of them are displayed here in this slide.
Now, moving towards the conclusion. College campus can be a completely different story for different individuals. They have to deal with mixed emotions that they feel every day, which brings about a change in them. There are lots of factors affecting the experiences and the emotions of a student, ranging from family background to educational background. But there are a few things that seem constant to almost every student. The urge to fit in, influence of peers and popular culture, change in food, music, and fashion preferences, and overall, it can be said that it makes an individual broad-minded. The freedom gives them opportunity to explore themselves from different paradigms, and hence, once they are comfortable here, they wouldn't prefer going back to all those restrictions. The dynamic nature of university and peers alters the emotions and notions of the students and helps them to evolve as a person. This evolution is majorly positive since they get to learn a lot from different people from diverse backgrounds. In some cases, this evolution proves to be negative, where a student develops some wrong and inappropriate notions and habits.
Next slide. In these two diagrams, we see a process of evolution that takes place within the student. In the first diagram, the situation of the student while entering the college is depicted, all the emotions that they go through. We see a blend of emotions forming inside the student's mind, where they feel very insecure and quite unsure about their coming life in college. While in the second diagram, we see a situation of the student after getting familiar with the campus environment. The insecurity, anxiety, and all the negative emotions transform into all positives, like psychological stability, confidence, etc. This transformation not only takes place inside their mind, but their personalities too. Hence, to conclude, we can say that university life evolves the students into a whole different person. A person with more confidence and courage, the urge to learn, and the urge to spread the learning. Thank you.
Thank you, team. I request honorable jury for interjection. Over to you, judges.
No, I don't have any question.
I have a question to ask regarding the title that you have chosen for the study, and it says Notions of Adolescence to the New Dynamic Abode of University Campus, attuning to the notions of adolescence. What notions are you talking about? What notions of adolescence?
Ma'am, actually by notions, we mean the changes in their thought process and the changes in their emotions and their personality that they encounter, that they like develop after the sudden transition from the high school to college.
Okay. Secondly, as far as the sample of the students are concerned, were they all coming from different parts of the country, or they were earlier also studying in Delhi and then joined the University of Delhi?
Right, ma'am. So the major target group was the batch of 2019 to 22. That is like it. I could call it our batch, like the batch that is in the final year right now. So we had students from all parts of the country. So because they had come to the campus for at least one semester, so we thought that we could take their.
Did you find any variation in the behavior or in the understanding of the students who were not from Delhi and those who were from Delhi and they merely shifted from probably a school in Delhi to a college in Delhi.
Pragya, would you like to take this one, or should I?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I wanted to mention that the students who were from the Delhi had a very smooth transition. Like it was not as harsh as it was for the students from different backgrounds. Like for especially if, the students who came from rural backgrounds and like northeastern states of our country, they tend to have a much more harsh transition than the students in Delhi.
And the factors could be, and the factors influencing could be.
The factors could be, ma'am, the sudden shift in the culture and the societal norms. Like the place that they're staying would be having a different culture or a different like certain rules and regulations or certain norms. But when they shifted to Delhi, we recorded that they were like they were actually very surprised that here everything is like way more sort of, people are very broad-minded, people are very open, and they have like
I tend to disagree, but nonetheless, it is part of your study.
Can I add
I have
something, ma'am?
just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I had something in my mind which yes. When you are talking about the notions that adolescents may have, please have a look at the influence of whether they were staying with their families earlier. Were they staying in the hostels? Were they already away from their family and then they shifted to Delhi? These could play an important role,
yes, ma'am,
in understanding their behavior and their what understandings do they develop in a better manner. Thank you. You have something to say? Please go ahead.
I was just saying, I was about to mention the same. The students who will come from other states actually tend to miss their family a lot, and the family support is something that they have been relying from past the whole schooling time. And the students from Delhi itself, they have the support of their family, and they can rely on them. And suddenly, when somebody comes to Delhi, they have to take their own responsibility like completely. So that is something that affected.
I would also like to add something. So, ma'am, there were some students who were like, they were staying at their home in their hometown. And when they shifted to Delhi, they were living with some of their relatives. So for them, that sudden transition was not that much harsh. That was like the way it was for the students who came from their homes and they shifted to the hostels and the PGs. So this was also one thing that we noted, that the students who shifted to Delhi, but they still stayed with some of their family relatives or their extended family. So they didn't go through that very sudden like emotional change in themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did you also in your study come across students who felt that they were lost in the city, in the new environment?
Yes, sir. There were many students who were like, they were very confused in the starting, that what are we supposed to do? How are we going to manage everything here? Because yes, they didn't had any like elderly support that we call. So yes, we did have some responses that were like, they were completely puzzled.
Also, the sudden transition of the academics is also something that contributes a lot to the confusion.
Yes, because what I see from your presentation, not much has come out on a very complex issue of one is like, a transition from school to higher education, one transition from one place to another, places in, native hometowns to Delhi, second. So, there are a lot of complexities here, so which hasn't come out. Even when you're telling about those sector graphs, the pie charts, you only tell us about the larger chunk, where the majority of responses are, but you don't tell us about the second or the third one, where you can have more complexity coming out, right? So one of the dangers of using quantitative understanding of emotions is this, that the complexity is lost in transition. So something that you should be aware of, like, about your methodology, even when you're talking about quantitative, how are you telling? Because emotions are complex, and the same person can go through many emotions at very small, at different times of the day as they crisscross different spaces of the city. Either it's campus, peer groups. The peer group pressures are very high when at least in the very first year of your college. So possibly that is something that you need to keep in mind when you present, right? And also I wanted to know about the background of your the methodology. How have you collected this? Like, what's the background of your respondents here?
Sir, we articulated a Google form. We prepared a Google form and we circulated it through social media to the respondents. And the interview was taken online. And the background, most of them were pursuing geography only, but we still had many students who were like from diverse fields.
Diverse fields. How many were male male students, females, and other?
Sir, male students were approximately, I guess it was 30%. It could be roughly 30%. Majority of the respondents were women. So 70% women respondents and 30% males. We didn't had any other category responding to the question.
Okay, that has to be clear when you say, because whose emotions are we looking at? Because they differ by, So, okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Moving on, our next team is team number 40, and the team members are Navita Singh, Deepak Sharma, Gargi Bansal, and Gaurav Kumar. And their topic is emotional turn of environmental procurement. Over to you, team.
Good evening, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you. Very pleasant evening to one and all present here. My name is Navita Singh and my teammates are Deepak Sharma, Gargi Bansal and Gaurav Kumar. And we are doing our research work on topic emotional turn of environmental procurement, Haryana and NCR. Before diving deep into the presentation, let's take an overview of the presentation. So, in this, we will be talking about the concept, research problem, aim and objective, study area, methodology, observation, conclusion, and suggestions of our research work. Now, moving forward, concept of our research was, it's not the first time that a pandemic is caused by a virus and is zoonotic. According to stats, 75% of all developing diseases are zoonotic. Before COVID, there are many diseases like Ebola, avian flu, Rift Valley fever, and many more. But during COVID period, our environment regained its strength up to some extent. Although there were many losses due to COVID, but looking at the positive side, our environment got some time to breathe, resulting in improved air quality, water quality, enriched flora, and enhanced fauna activities. On January 30th, the WHO, that is World Health Organization, Emergency Committee declared a global health emergency, citing rising cases, notifying rates in China and other countries. Now, moving on to the research problem, there was reduction in economic and human activities during lockdown period. Despite the severity of situation, the pause in activity had evident benefit of ecosystem and climate. Now moving on to the aims and objective. Our objective is to highlight the positive impact of lockdown. In our work, we are trying to highlight the external and internal factors during pandemic. External factors include lockdown impact on air, water, population, flora, fauna. And internal factors include mental condition and patients developed by people during pandemic. COVID environmental consequences are highlighted in the research work. The influence of COVID on environment in Haryana and NCR is the main topic of our research. Now moving forward to the study area, our research is focused on the states of Haryana and National Capital Region, that is NCR. The study area is usually included. Excuse me?
Yes,
Is my voice audible?
yes, now it's audible.
From where it was not?
Now it's clear, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our research is focused on the states of Haryana and National Capital Region, that is NCR. The study area is usually included in the permit area, but it may extend beyond that. The Haryana covers area of 44,212 square kilometers and NCR covers 53,083 kilometers. The districts of Haryana are 22 that are included in our work, and NCR region that is included in our work are the districts from Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and the region itself. Now moving forward to the methodology, we have included primary data and secondary data in our work. In primary data, we have used a questionnaire, basically in a feedback form. We have circulated it on social media handles to get the reaction of people, and the reactions were remarkable. In secondary data, the data and stats are taken from government authorities and their research publications. The data is generally taken from the NIDM, CPCB, and IPCC authorities and various magazines, newspapers, and publications. Now, further explanation of the slide towards my teammate Deepak Sharma.
Good evening, everyone. Now let's come to the observation part. Here, the AQI data of Hisar, in which we show that in April 2020, the AQI is 222. But after the long time of locking down of industrial activities, in April 2021, the AQI is noticed 186 in Hisar district. Same case we observe in the months of November of 2020 and 2021, where AQI is 446 and 318 respectively. Same case was happened in the water quality index of Yamuna Shahadra drain, in which in April 2020, the pH level was 7.63, and in April 2021, pH was decreased and it was 7.15. Same case is in November, the pH records decreasing. So this shows that environmental shows some positive changes due to COVID or due to lockdown. Now this is the section of results of questionnaire. In this, we ask some moral questions to random people to know their psychology during the whole period of COVID-19. These questions are basically based on their financial stability, their family conditions, behavior of their knowns, and domestic violence cases in their surroundings. So these are the data which we get from the response of 85 plus persons. So if we move to the suggestions, so during this whole process of our research, we got many expected and unexpected results as well. And our suggestions are purely based on that different types of results we got. We were meeting our fundamental necessities during the full lockdown time, but not our desires. Therefore, considering the point, We can exist without using excessive pollution emitting chemicals. Medical facilities should also be enhanced. So, as a famous poet said, there is a time limit on camera. So, now is the time to conclude the presentation. Each coin has two sides, and the other side of COVID pandemic is beneficial for our fading environment. And during this period, human realized the real importance of human life. During this period, human realized that the most precious legacy is mental peace and patience. Thank you.
Thank you, team. I request honorable jury for interjection.
My first question would be, when you have studied people's perception and then you studied certain kind of AQI levels, how are the two connected? Did you had any question in your questionnaire where the two aspects of your presentation came on the same platform?
Yeah, by the questionnaire, we are trying to study the moral, moral values and mentality of the people, and by the AQI and WQIs, we are trying to study the environmental effects of COVID.
And how are the two related to each other?
They are not
in this study. How are they related to each other?
Yeah, actually, they are not correlated, but in the emotional domains of geography, social moral values are also included, and environmental is also have a place in that. So that's why we take these two aspects separately.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have no questions.
Myself also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, I would like to call Dr. Ganesh Yadav for the final vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mrityunjay. This was the last technical session of this 2 days National Geographers Youth Conclave 2022 on the theme Domains of Emotional Geography, Environment, Culture, and Society. We had some of the finest papers on the theme in this technical session today from various eminent institutions. So on the behalf of Department of Geography and Geography Association, Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, I would like to extend our deepest regards to respected jury members, Dr. Diksha Vajpayee Tiwari ma'am, Professor P.L. Basu Roy sir, and Dr. Kiran Bhairanwar sir for taking leave out of their busy schedule and having their august presence and words of wisdom. The jury members have been constant in adding the value, metal, and life to this conclave, and I hope we all have taken meaningful insights from them. Thank you so much, jury. I would also like to extend my gratitude to conference convener Professor Swati Rajput ma'am, Professor Poonam Sharma ma'am, Dr. V.A.B. Raman sir, Dr. Kavita Arora ma'am, Dr. Rashmi Rani Anand ma'am, and all the faculty members for taking the lead and being the source of motivation to our young and dynamic student team, for whom I may be short of words. The success of this conclave is largely attributed to their sheer hard work and sincerity. To name few, Mrityunjay, Tanvi, Tanuja, Shivansh, Anushka, Ritika, Pratyush, Analya, Abhishek, Akshit, Shuvrit, and everyone whom I am missing. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants and their mentors for your kind presence and making this event a success. Thank you so much, everyone. Results will be announced in the validity session. So over to you, Mrityunjay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Here is the completion of our technical session 5 officially.
Thank you, Mrityunjay. Dear jury members, should we connect after 30 minutes for the valedictory, or what do you suggest?
We will have a Google Meet. The link for the same has been sent in the group. the three of us can, and somebody
Yes.
from the department can also join us. If
No, it is absolutely the jury members. So whatever you just tell us, if possible, around 5:30, should we connect again for the valedictory, or 5:40?
Yeah. 5:30 would be good, I guess. Yes.
Okay. Right.
Dr. Kiran, anything else?
Yeah, I think 5:30 should be fine. Yeah.
Right. So we'll have
right.
our deliberations, and then as soon as we arrive at a decision, we'll let.
Yes, please. Absolutely fine. Take your time. Dear participants and dear colleagues and mentors, judges are busy. They will be needing some time to aggregate the results and coming up with their announcements. We would be meeting sharp at 5:30 for our valedictory session. So we are breaking. The connection is on. We all are here, but we'll be just waiting till the time our jury members comes back. We at 5:30. So we'll again connect. We are here at 5:30. Looking forward. All the best wishes to all the participants. Amazing presentations.
How
Right?
many? Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
how
yes,
many?
sir.
How many prizes we have to declare?
Yeah, Professor Sahab, in the Google Meet where you would be joining, Dr. Diksha and all three of you would be discussing. So we'll be writing in that group.
Okay,
Right.
fine. Okay.
Thank you.